All right, CJ, thanks. The City and Jackson Municipal Airport Authority have rested their cases in the airport takeover trial, but not before a battle over whether dozens of exhibits related to Senator Josh Harkins should be submitted for judicial notice. Now, Harkins was the main author of Senate Bill 2162, the airport takeover bill. Passed in 2016, it would replace the JMAA with a new regional authority with appointees from state officials, Rankin and Madison County, and the City of Jackson. At least two people testified that Harkins, a real estate broker by trade, would stand to benefit if the bill went into effect. Well, this morning, JMAA asked to include the judicial notice about a dozen deeds related to property owned by Harkins or entities associated with Harkins in the record. U.S. District Judge Carlton Reeves accepted the documents. He also denied a motion from the state to dismiss the case on several grounds.